Well, hi there. I'm going to show you how to do my Balla Stitch, and this is what it looks like. It's a really nice stitch for a shawl, or you can do a lacy hat, a cowl. Why would you want to do it? Well, it's one heck of a fast stitch, and it uses no purls, and it does not curl, just with a simple edge. It just, and you can just knit, knit, knit. I didn't put a single purl in here, so you wouldn't have to. Okay, and you can make yourself a beautiful scarf or shawl in a really fast time. I'm using a bulky yarn, not real thick bulky, but it's a bulky, and the yarn I'm using is King Cole Riot in the color, where is that color? Well, there it is. Rainbow. Well, it does look like a rainbow, doesn't it? In the color rainbow. And it's 70% acrylic and 30% wool. And my poor yarn here is falling all apart. Okay, so there it is. And the loom hook I'm using is one that I got. It's right here. And they don't make them anymore, but they have similar ones on Etsy if you want to get this kind of ergonomic loom hook. Okay, and the loom is a Cindywood loom. It has it's a 3/4 inch, and it has, boy, that number is rubbing off, but it says it has 24 pegs. Does it really? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's a 4 I saw. It does have 24 pegs. So here's what the stitch looks like on the back. So here it's tight on the loom, so you can look at it more here. It has a kind of nice lacy look on the back too. You can use the back if you want. There it is. Very interesting look. Okay, so let's get started. Now, you're going to want to have a loom that when you're using looser stitches like this, your loops aren't going to fall off really easy. This doesn't have a great peg for that because it can just slip over the top, but it's a long peg, so it helps it. But if you have little short pegs, you have to just be very careful your loops don't slip off, because that's the only thing, is that the loops are loose. Okay, and I will show you how to do the edge when we get there, but we're starting here. So how you do that is whatever peg you're on is peg 1. Okay, so on peg 1 we go behind peg 1 and we go over 1 and 2. Okay, but then we go behind those 2 pegs again and go in front of 1 and 2 again. And then we're going to take the 2 bottom loops over the top of each peg. Now, it's easy to get mixed up on this one because you've got this loop of yarn coming over here. But the way to know which one's the top loop is it's the one that the yarn's coming out of. So you can just pull it up so that you're sure which one you're taking up, and then put the 2 loops over and tighten. Now you're on peg 1, so you go over peg 1 and 2, behind, and over peg 1 and 2 again, and then knit the first one off, second one harder to see, knit both of them off, and tighten. Okay, you're on peg 1. You always go over peg 1 and 2, behind and over peg 1 and 2 again without getting your yarn messed in there. You go over peg 1 and 2 again, knit this one off, and then knit this one off. Now you might be tempted to think, well, gee, maybe it'll be easier if I knit this one off first, then go to this one. If you do that one, this one will be really hard to do. I tried it. So take the 2 loops and go over the top. Make sure you know that which one's on top here, and then put both of these over. Tighten, always on peg 1, over peg 1 and 2, and over peg 1 and 2 again. Knit them off. And you're going to find that that's a lot of work. Like, these rows go really fast. They're really nice and long. So this happens really, really quickly. Then you go over peg 1 and 2 and go over peg 1 and 2 again. Knit them off. And making sure I got the right one. Pull. Now, on the end pegs, you're going to have to find a way to do a border that's as long as this stitch, or it's not going to be straight like mine is. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Oh, I will go over how I cast on. I just cast on, and I actually went straight into the stitch. Doesn't curl or anything, so I could do that. So it's just the cast on, and I went straight into the stitch. Okay, so it's not going to curl on there. You could curl on your sides if you don't have them long enough, and here it was just a little too tight. So as I went up, I started loosening it, and up here you can see it's laying really nice and flat, and it's not quite here. So here's where I worked out the edge to get a nice flat stitch. Okay, so I'm going to show you this edge. Okay, so we're on peg 1. So we're going to go behind peg 1 and over 2 and over peg 1 and 2 we're on. So this is the second peg in, okay? And we're going to knit this one off, and we're going to knit this one off. Okay, now when we're here and we're going to go over the one peg, we're only going to go over it once, like we're doing owl eye. We're going to knit these off, okay? Keeping that nice and loose. Then we're going to come back, just like we do when we do an owl eye. We come back. But what we're going to do is, to make this longer, is we're going to come back behind these two again and in front of them and knit them off again. Okay, and that's going to make this longer. And then we're on peg 2, so we're just going to go, we're on peg 1. Always call the one we're on peg 1. We're going to go over 1 and 2 and over them again and knit them off. And then we can just leave this yarn here, and I'm going to pull the work down. I have another look at it. And see how much longer it is already? Just from doing that one row. And we're going to take a look at how the sides are. So we're going to look at the sides up here, because down here I wasn't elongating them yet. So here's what your sides are going to look like. So they just look like this. Bunch of loops. And they're long enough that they're as long as the work. And we'll come to this side. We'll look at those loops that are near the top. See? They're just loops. And that's going to give you what you need for this to be long enough. We'll just stretch it out, because you always stretch your stitches, and we've done that much more. So you can just see how fast it goes, how much longer it's getting. Very, very quickly. Now I'm going to go and do another row here for you to make sure that you understand how I'm doing the edges. This is just a stitch video, but I really wanted to give you a tip of how to use it, because these long stitches, you have to have a way to do a long edge. You might have a technique you'd rather do instead, but this one is working fine. Here's where I didn't use it, and even though you could get away with it, it is pulling in a bit. See, oh, here, I'll get you in the camera. It's not quite, it's pulling in a little bit. So it wouldn't curl terribly, but it certainly would pull in. And you don't want that. And then when we're up here, it's not. It's laying flat. And that's what we want. It laying flat like that. And that's just by making the edges longer. Okay? That's all there is to it. No purls at all. Okay, so I'm going to go back again. Now, this is important. You put your work down, you come back, and you're like, which way was I going? What was happening? Well, you can tell you were going this way, because when you look, you see this big loop here that right there. There's a loop coming here. Okay, that's the working yarn, but there'll be a loop. and that means you were going that direction because there's no loops here. Okay, so you know the direction you're going, and you know you're coming out of this peg, because whichever way you move this, it's this peg. So if you're coming out of this peg, you're going that direction. That's peg 1. You go over 1 and 2, come back around and go over 1 and 2 again. Easy. It's just one peg you can stitch, or one row stitch. You can put it down, and then remember we want to keep that up. It's a one row stitch, so you can put it down, come back wherever you want, whenever you want, and it's going to go really fast for you. I love stitches like that. I'll be working on something else and I'll go, I want that stitch. I want to make progress really fast, and I might get a lot of interruptions, so it's a perfect stitch. Some stitches you do not want to be interrupted from. Okay, so I'm just going along, going over 1 and 2, coming back over 1 and 2 again, knitting them off, going over 1 and 2, going over 1 and 2 again, knitting them off. So now you've seen me go both directions here. Okay, over, and here we are at the edge. So we're going to go over and go over again, knit it off, knit this one off, and now when we're at this one and we're at the end peg, we're only going to go over once, knit it off, come back nice and loose, go over both of them, then go behind and in front and knit it again, and there, that's our edge. Okay, and if you want to look at that, how does that look at the edge? You can do a close-up looking at the edge. So here's our stitch, and then when we got to the edge with what we did, see how it looks pretty much the same doing it that way? Blends right in all the way to the edge. With the edge looking like that, it all blends in, it all looks like it goes together. That's what I like about this stitch. On the other side, same thing, the way we did the edges. It fits with the rest of the stitch. You don't really see a difference here. And there's your edge looking the same as the stitches. So that's why I'm doing the sides and the edge that way. Okay, so there you go. There's the stitch. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. It's nice and stretchy both ways. You're not going to have to know how to do purls. The only problem you'll ever have with this stitch is it's loose, so keep it from falling off the pegs, and that's it. That's the only thing that you have to be watching. And I just pull it down. I mean, it's not going to fall off when I do this. So there's no problem there. And yeah, enjoy. Oh, we could take one more look at this edge now that we've done more, so you can see what this edge looks like. So this side can look really nice too. You can reverse it, use this side, and have 2 shawls in one. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye.